Okay, a busy afternoon of severe weather beginning now. The tornado warning issued for sections of Grenada County. This for a storm that at this point has continued to intensify, is moving east at more than 50 miles per hour and could produce a tornado soon. As we continue to analyze this on Storm Track Doppler radar, the area we're looking for is very close to Grenada, just north and west of downtown at this moment. Let's circle on radar where we're looking at, and we do have many other thunderstorms that are just a notch or two weaker than this at this moment. So we do expect this is going to be an afternoon where we have a lot of severe weather coverage that we're going to be doing. As you'll note here, the circulation just to the west of I-55. You can see it kind of wrapped up there. We're going to be looking fairly high from any radar we're looking at, meaning the rotation clearly there on radar. We're waiting for some ground truth from spotters. That's something that's probably going to take a little bit before we get that. So let's track this eastward. We'll keep that speed about 55 miles per hour, which is what the Weather Service has had it. And while this will not pop in specifically with Grenada, we need to be in our tornado-safe place there as well. We're 5 minutes to Memphis Junction, 14 minutes to Turkey Creek, and 21 minutes to the Youngs community. A possible tornado on this rotation continuing to increase, and with a lot of these today, we are going to get confirmation after the fact. That's what always happens with tornadoes. We get confirmation after the fact, so we need to treat this seriously and be in our tornado-safe place. And let's define where that is, and let's talk about this in a way that we're prepping ahead if you live downstream from this, because we are going to have more warnings as we go throughout the day. Want to find a sturdy structure on the lowest floor of whatever building you're in. If you have a storm shelter nearby, we're talking right outside, go to that. Lowest floor, because we want to put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Turn up the volume on your TV, wrap up in blankets, pillows, and stay there until we can give you the all-clear. Grenada, though I didn't specifically have you on that track a moment ago, if you live on the north side of town in particular, this is pretty much right on top of you, and there's still evidence that this storm is continuing to increase. What we have right now is rotation on Storm Track Doppler radar that indicates the possibility that a tornado will develop very soon. And then after that, we are now waiting for spotters in the field to get us confirmation. We don't have a tornado that's officially been spotted, and we don't have debris, at least as not last check, on this thunderstorm. Let's look at the debris mode on Storm Track Doppler radar, and we're going to have to kind of jockey back and forth between a couple things here to make sure we're looking at the right spot on this thunderstorm. We're really looking too high up to have a good idea on debris on this. Unfortunately, you would have to loft it way up in the atmosphere to get that. I can't confirm tornado debris on this yet, but it is a situation we have to treat very, very seriously. Going to the wind mode on Storm Track Doppler radar, and let's talk proximity to downtown Grenada. We're now talking here from the middle intersection in town, less than 3 miles. And if you know somebody who's traveling along I-55, this is probably crossing I-55 pretty close to Memphis Junction right now. These storms are going to be moving 55 miles an hour. So think about it, and you're talking as fast as the car will drive, and this thing doesn't have to follow roadways. So we are going to watch this move toward Memphis Junction, just to the north there, and approach Highway 7, Old Highway 7, within the next 3 or 4 minutes. Going back to the precipitation mode on Storm Track Doppler radar, we're going to jump around. We're going to look at a bunch of different radars, because this is right in the middle, and our position has now advanced this pretty close to the Memphis Junction area. Of course, there's a little tilting on this thunderstorm, so I would still, even though I show the rotation just right along Highway 7, that's pretty close, I would still have it right there, just north of the Memphis Junction area, rotation that could potentially be a tornado on this thunderstorm. So let's back this off for just a second. I'm going to go south because we are getting reports on this thunderstorm here just south, closer to, that will be approaching Montgomery County, that there have been at least a couple of funnels. And this little thing that sticks off the back there is a radar error. We call that a 3-body scatter spike. What that means, and this is something that all these thunderstorms are looking like they're going to have, gigantic hail, possibly golf ball to baseball size hail out of this thunderstorm. We've had that reported on some of these thunderstorms to the west. That's another reason to prep in advance. Another reason you need to be thinking now about where you're going to go when a tornado warning is issued for your location. By the way, that report of a funnel was about 4:24 p.m., so just a few minutes ago. Vaden, we're talking about 10 minutes for you. Kilmichael, less than a half hour. French Camp right at a half hour, and this is heading toward Eupora. We're looking at 44 minutes for you. This thunderstorm, while it has a severe thunderstorm warning on it, Chaser's monitoring this very closely. It has produced funnels. It's in an environment that could lead it to develop a tornado at some point in the fairly near future. So we're going to have to watch that one as well. Let's come north, back here toward our thunderstorm that's just north of Grenada, where you see all these black returns here near Hardy. That is hail that's probably in excess of at least 1.5 inches in size, if not significantly larger than that. Our tornado would be, at this moment, pretty near Highway 333, approaching that now north of Memphis Junction, right here in this little gap. What we have is this is the air flowing into this thunderstorm. So if we were to have a tornado, it would be very near the intersection of U.S. Highway 51 and Old Highway 6. And it's going to move pretty close to along Old Highway 6 as it moves toward the east-northeast and should approach the intersection of Highway 332 and Highway 333 within the next 2 minutes. And that's the reason we have to be very, very careful with this. Let's talk for Grenada proper. This is very, very close, and because we're looking so high up in the thunderstorm, I do not want to underestimate the fact that it could potentially be a little farther south on this. So you have to, if you live in Grenada proper, be in that tornado safe place on the lowest floor of a sturdy structure. And I wish I could say right now, I know for sure this is producing a tornado. By the way, I don't want you to go out and be that confirmation. We want to keep you in your tornado safe place until we can give you the all clear, and that's still more than a few minutes away if you live inside the city limits of Grenada. If you live near the Fufyville area, and I apologize for the pronunciation there, and certainly if you know folks that live out around or on Grenada Lake, we need to make sure that they are in their tornado safe place on this thunderstorm as it continues to move east. This thunderstorm, what makes it tricky, and this is a problem that we run into on these kind of days. Number one, we're still at this point dealing with a lot of ifs and maybes, and as we talked about at noon today and last night, we're not going to be able to confirm some of the things on this until the last possible second. By the way, a new tornado warning will be coming out for this storm down closer to Winona that will probably in all likelihood include Montgomery County on that soon. But before we go down there, I want to come back to this Grenada storm because now we're getting reports that there was a funnel cloud on that at 4:26 p.m. Storm spotters reporting a funnel cloud on this thunderstorm, so that shows that it's continuing to increase in organization. That report coming from Grenada, someone there. So we need to be extremely careful with this thunderstorm as it continues to move toward the northeast. I'm going to give you an advanced track on this. We're going to look way ahead here for a moment. We're going to look at that 55-mile-per-hour storm speed, which we still have. I'm going to double-check the angle that this has moved. I apologize for my alarm going off. Obviously, we typically aren't on your television screen at this time of day. Moving northeast, still about that speed. This is going to be a wide track, so this is going to catch if it goes a little farther north, a little farther south. We're talking 31 minutes into Bruce, Houston 50 minutes, Pontotoc 59 minutes, 76 minutes possibly into Tupelo, and more than an hour and a half into Fulton, assuming it doesn't pick up some speed, which is a possibility on this. The tornado warning has yet to be issued just within the last few moments. We're waiting on that on this thunderstorm near Vaden, and it's going to be approaching there. The angle at this, and we're going to have to do a lot of tracking on these today just to make sure that we're on top of everything that's possible out of these thunderstorms, and the angle and the shifts. They're going to kind of change their angles quite a bit. Moving this one toward the north and east, I would have that near Vaden. Now we're at 7 minutes, and we need to be in our tornado safe place. That tornado warning, they're now saying with our discussion with the National Weather Service, tornado imminent on this discussion here. Near Vaden is where that would be. So Vaden, we're talking obviously less than 7 minutes for you, a tornado warning that's in effect until 5:15 p.m. for a thunderstorm that's moving. Now this says it's a little slower at about 45 miles per hour on that. So this track is for 55. I want to give you about as much heads up as we can. So we're talking Eupora at 41 minutes for you, Mabin at 52 minutes, Starkville just about an hour, maybe a little bit longer than that because of that marginally slower movement. But now we're getting reports of not only the hail that's at 1 inch on this thunderstorm back when it was over Tapachula, but also the rotation where the spotters in the field believe a tornado is developing as we speak. So if you live in Vaden, if you know somebody that lives in Vaden, make sure that they have that heads up and they know where to go. And let's talk about tornado safety rules. I'm going to hit this a lot now because I want to make sure that you have this in your head. when these storms get a little closer to kind of the heart of our viewing area. We want to be in a sturdy structure on the lowest floor. And say you live in Tupelo, say you live in Pontotoc, say you live maybe even in Calhoun City, Starkville, Houston, and you don't feel as though your home or place of employment is a sturdy structure, now's the time to get on the phone with mom, with grandma, with somebody, start making plans for where to go, because we do anticipate that we'll have maybe 1 or 2 strong tornadoes possible today. So we can't be in a mobile home on a day like this. We don't want you out there storm spotting, because most injuries and deaths from tornadoes come in a car or a mobile home. And we need to be, if we live in one of those, or if we're planning on staying the evening in one of those, making other plans. Now, this tornado warning is a little different. Now what we have, spotters reporting on this one that they have seen a tornado in the development process. Rotation on radar does indicate a tornado is in progress at this moment, waiting to confirm debris on storm track Doppler radar. And unfortunately, what that means is it has to hit something and suck it up before we get the debris confirmed. And so, I mean, by that point, it's confirmation. It's not a predictive tool. It can't predict that, oh, there's going to be a debris there. It just looks to see right there in particular. And luckily, in that exact spot, I know there's some other speckles here, but right there is where we're looking. At this moment, we do not have tornado debris on that thunderstorm as well, thankfully. We're going to widen this out. We're going to look at the whole area. We're going to go down to Winston County for a second. There's a storm, a couple of storms down just south of Louisville there, continuing to intensify. We're waiting on a substantial amount of moisture surging from the south, and so we have to watch one of these in case it grabs a hold of a boundary and attempts to turn a little more right near Remus. This is still, at this moment, rotation that could develop into a tornado, but it has not taken that step. It's a smaller thunderstorm. It's still weaker. The hail threat is only about 1 inch, so that is still more in its infancy. Looking farther south, and I'm going to track that northern thunderstorm first. Let's get the speed on that one. That does include the extreme southwest portion of Winston County. And the storm movement on that thunderstorm is a little bit slower, is only about 35 miles per hour. So these are not as fast farther south. So we're going to have to keep on top of this on some of these storm tracks here. And that does mean it's probably pretty closer to a boundary. Now, assuming that doesn't all of a sudden take more of a southerly track, 5 minutes into Pearl River, Noxapater, we're talking just over a half hour for you. In Columbus, you know, hour and a half or more on that thunderstorm. There's confirmation of a tornado on one farther south. And the movement on that one at some point could take it closer to Macon, Aliceville, locations such as that. That we'd be looking at Macon between an hour and a half for you. A little more, maybe just a little more than an hour and a half, and eventually heading toward Aliceville. This is still reported to be a tornado on the ground on this thunderstorm there. Revisiting now, we start back over with our thunderstorm that we have up around Grenada. Information coming in at this point that this rotation could still, over top of Grenada Lake now, be a tornado in progress, certainly one developing at the very least. It's very simple to pick out. Here is our hook echo. This is the area of rotation we're watching, and so this is where we're pretty much right along the dam on Grenada Lake, where we're looking at this. Actually, I take that back. It's just a little bit east of that. Could be a tornado at this moment. There's no guarantees we're going to have visibility to be able to spot these thunderstorms. I do think that the tornadoes will be somewhat visible for the next little while, but we're now losing the light of the day, and that's going to hurt us somewhat. In fact, Katie, on 3, let's get up Tower Cam, if you will. If you double-click on it, it goes full screen. Thank you. I appreciate that. And let's go ahead and pull that up, our Tupelo Tower Cam here, if I can get that pop on the screen, because we at least, thankfully, still do have some visibility, it looks like, at this moment. As we look back toward the south and west, we're actually looking into that thunderstorm near Grenada. I'm going to pan it over here just a little bit more as we just kind of assess. So this would be some of the offshoots of the clouds from that southern storm that's moving into Montgomery County. Has triggered that warning there. So we're going to have a vantage point of these thunderstorms for at least a little while this evening. But that is just a reminder that if we have a vantage point on a tower cam like this, that what that means is that locations such as Tupelo, such as Pontotoc, such as Nettleton could be closer to the action zone, but we're still talking more than an hour away at this point. Coming back to storm track Doppler radar and mentioning the positioning on this tornado, let's make sure we have the exact latest spot on this. So just east of Hurricane Branch, over top of Grenada Lake, if not just a little east of that now, moving northeast. I'm not going to get a ton of folks to pop onto this storm track here. It says Tyson in 17 minutes. And let's adjust that because we have faster storm movement on this thunderstorm, closer to 50 to 55 miles per hour. And so we're talking more like 13 minutes for the Tyson community. Rotation that could be a tornado in the development phases, and certainly large hail near the Turkey Creek area just north. I do expect up here toward Bryant and the Gums community in Tyson. You're under severe thunderstorm warning up here in Yalobusha County. And obviously you're very close. You're right next door to this. If you live in Coffeyville, this is big, big hail just to your south. And that huge hail is going to track toward Bruce, Calhoun City, and as we look ahead, Calhoun City, this is going to be close on the tornado end. It's not impossible, by the way, that this sucks the tornado up, spits another one out. That's what can happen with these cyclical thunderstorms like is possible for today. But Bruce, in particular, we're looking at hail that could potentially at some point approach baseball size on these thunderstorms, so expected to be very large. The Weather Service in their discussion with us continuing to maintain rotation on the thunderstorm that's approaching Montgomery County. That a severe thunderstorm warning, excuse me, a tornado warning that remains in effect until 5:15 p.m. Let's look from the Jackson radar side on this. And Katie, if you could, actually, I'm going to go live on Facebook with my phone here. That way, there's a lot of ways if you lose your television signal and you're ahead of these thunderstorms, you can stay up to date with us. And one of those ways is using Facebook. But obviously, we recommend our website, WTVA.com/live. It's a little more stable for those discussions. You can find us there. Katie, go and grab this, and we'll get one of those live streams up and bring over one of the cradles to put that in so it can sit here. And of course, give us your reports there. Katie will monitor those reports as well. But as you can see here, now we're looking at 36 minutes for Eupora. This is getting closer, and obviously Vaden, this is overhead rotation. Funnel clouds continuing to strengthen. Farther south, the Winston County thunderstorm, and our discussion with the National Weather Service in Jackson now saying on this tornado possible. No confirmation of that at this moment. If that were the case, this back part here is where the rotation would be, right there, just north of the Pearl River area. Looking at the speed on this, they still have it in that neighborhood of about 40 miles per hour, so a little bit slower than what's going on farther north. I'll include Louisville in the track, but the reality is it's probably heading a little to your south. Arlington, 8 minutes. Stallo, 16 minutes there. Noxapater, 23 minutes. 35 minutes into Louisville, and 46 minutes into Webster. That's my fault. I should have got that. And by the way, Katie, I think it disconnected again. And bring it around the other side when it comes time. I apologize. We're getting things organized here. We expect this still to be the beginning of a pretty active afternoon. So that not a tornado warning yet, but certainly in an environment where that could happen fairly soon. Start with north. We now have a better position on our thunderstorm here, now east of Turkey Branch, now east of Grenada Lake. We're going to jockey between a couple of radar sites here. And let's double check the last time on this. This is now about 3 minutes old on this position here. So we have it pretty much right along the northern part of Grenada Lake, approaching the Gray Spot Crossings Road area now, just south of the Gums community. And this is heading toward Youngs, this is heading toward Bounds, and this is eventually heading toward Calhoun City. Go ahead and put that there. So again, if you lose your signal, you can watch us on Facebook Live. We'll share that on all the different pages. And you can, of course, watch us on WTVA.com/live as well. So tornado warning continues for Grenada County in effect until 5 p.m. A thunderstorm that has had confirmations of funnel clouds and golf ball size hail within the last 5 minutes over top of Grenada Lake with this thunderstorm here. So that tells me that this northern one there is maybe a little bigger than golf ball size, probably getting closer to baseball size out of that, approaching, that would be County Road 147 in southeastern Yalobusha County. Very large hail and the tornado following right behind. And so a very close perspective. The arrow actually just happens to capture the exact spot we put the tornado at this moment near Gums Crossing Drive, just south of the Grenada and Yalobusha County line. This is Yalobusha County, this is Grenada County. This is about where we would put our tornado at this instant. And expect large hail with these thunderstorms. That's why you want to get out ahead of it. There's tons of lightning. I can hear the lightning crackling over top of our station. So that's not something that's going to let up. That's something that's going to intensify, which is why we want to get you, if you live in Bruce, if you live in Calhoun City, if you live in Holka, if you live in Houston, Pontotoc, Tupelo, we want to get you within steps of your storm shelter. So that way, when the warning is issued, you can be in shelter. We don't need to be driving across town when a tornado warning is issued. Instead, we need to get to our sheltering location, whether it's at home or somebody else's house. We need to get there now so that we're not caught out in this. So once the tornado warning is issued, if it's issued for, say, Calhoun City, before you're able to leave, shelter in place. That's what you need to do. So we're running out of time really for Calhoun City. It's got to be Pontotoc, Houston, farther east. Let's get to a tornado-safe place. Let's get close to there now. Calhoun City, we're talking 19 minutes at 55 miles per hour before this is pretty much on top of your doorstep. Vardaman, 28 minutes. The Big Creek community, we're looking at 13 minutes, and Shepherd community, we're looking at 17 minutes. Rotation, funnel clouds. This has not put down a tornado that has sustained yet, but it's in an environment that will allow it to do so in the future. Update on our tornado warning here down toward Vaden, still moving at about 45 miles per hour for that current speed there. And let's go 45 miles per hour. This is going to be the wide track, and we'll come in extremely close on this. As we watch our time continue to tick away over top of Vaden right now, you pour about 40 minutes or so, assuming that 45 mile per hour speed. Now, if these times look similar to what we showed you a minute ago, the reason for that is we were tracking a little faster a minute ago. Now that they've come back with a couple of here and they've started to slice down the speed on this one, only moving 45 miles per hour, that's what has adjusted that a little bit. A new tornado warning coming out, and this is what we talked about was possible a minute ago, up for Calhoun and Yalobusha counties. Tornado warning coming out of the National Weather Service, Memphis. Now you're going to be in that for folks in Calhoun City. In all likelihood, it's probably going to include you. It'll probably include Bruce. We need to be sheltering in place when that comes out here in a moment. That's still a possible tornado on this thunderstorm here, and we need to be careful. Hold on a second. Yeah, probably, if she feels comfortable. Getting our family situation straightened out here in Tupelo to make sure we have the babies that everyone loves on Facebook, have them where they need to go. So we're making our plans to send them where they need to go so that we're prepped and, you know, make it a community event, make it an event with family and get in place now. Let's also talk about tornado watches. They include everybody, I believe, at this point here. Let's widen this just a little bit. And well, we don't include at this point Marion, Lamar, Franklin County, Pickens County in Alabama. We do include Franklin County. The northern part here is a tornado watch in effect until 11 p.m. The southern part is until 9 p.m. Don't worry about the expiration times. If the tornado threat continues, they'll just extend it locally. That's something that they can do. But this says most of us are under a tornado watch now. And when a watch is issued, that's when you start preparing, okay, we need to get to our you know, within steps of our tornado-safe place. And let's discuss what we're looking at, the difference between a watch and a warning. A watch means the dangerous weather is possible and might develop very soon. Well, we're already watching it develop. We're just waiting for it to move in. A warning means dangerous weather is likely and already occurring. And so that's why we're focusing on these storms that do have that rotation, where we do believe dangerous weather is occurring right now. So on Storm Track Doppler radar, we'll come back to the Grenada County storm, which is now moving into Calhoun County, rotation. And I need to make a correction for what I said. The folks in Memphis are going to keep this a severe with tornado possible on it, as opposed to upgrade in the short term, because we're dealing with funnel clouds and they have not confirmed full-fledged tornado touchdown, but the environment today can rapidly intensify that. So in their discussion for the severe thunderstorm warning that includes Yalobusha and Calhoun counties, they put tornado possible. So it's kind of their way to hedge their bet before they issue a tornado warning on this. So our rotation, where the tornado would be at this moment, would be now having crossed out of Grenada County. It would be just north of the Grenada-Yalobusha County line. right where I have that circle there. North of the Youngs community, about halfway between there and Tyson, is in the path of this. It has wrapped this back up in, and that's a sign that as these do that, they could spit out another tornado down to the south at some point in the near future. That is something we have to watch on these thunderstorms, or what we call cyclical thunderstorms. And what that means, they go through a life cycle where they intensify, kill off the tornado, build in a new one. And so that's one of our concerns in the near term with this, that it could be about to go through a cycle. I'm going to include Tyson in the track here just in case it sucks it all the way in, and I get the Benwood community in 7 minutes here. Let's go ahead and speed that back up to 55 miles per hour. We have all sorts of different storm motions on these. They're moving slower, farther south, faster, farther north. And Tyson, we're looking at 4 minutes rotation that has been confirmed to be a funnel cloud from time to time, has not been confirmed to be a tornado on the ground at this moment, but we're not, ultimately what happens is we confirm it's a tornado on the ground. Well, it's too late if it hit your house when we're confirming it. So that's why we put you in your tornado safe place before that, and we have to be there in the southeast portion of Yalobusha County. For perspective here, Coffeyville, there are more thunderstorms back to your west. We'll look at those in a second. Turkey Creek, Hurricane Branch, Grenada proper. We can come out of our safe places if we live in those locations there. Kincaid, we can be out of our safe place at this moment as well. But looking ahead, this is now trying to sort of split the gap a little more between Bruce and Calhoun City. The big hail, by the way, is going to start here pretty soon in Bruce for you. You're going to get some 1 inch or greater sized hail. If you can safely do it from inside your house, snap a picture. You can mention us at WTVA Matt on Twitter. Katie and the folks behind the scenes here are helping us to monitor that right now. We don't want you, if you're under a tornado warning, though, to be one of those people going outside and doing this. We want you in your storm shelter. There's storm chasers out there. We're going to have video of these tornadoes when they touch down. I don't want your video because I'd much rather you to be in your safe place. Schooner, 9 minutes. Shepherd, 12 minutes. 15 minutes to Bruce at this current 55 mile per hour speed. And it's waffled a little bit on that speed. It's going to speed up and slow down a few more times. Now on this track, we're still on an angle on this, and then we're going to go south to a new tornado warning that's come out for Neshoba, Winston, Noxubee counties here in a moment. But we're still on an angle that brings us toward Pontotoc, toward Tupelo, toward Holka. So we're looking at Bruce, less than 15 minutes. Holka, close to a half hour. Pontotoc, about 45 minutes or so. Tupelo, we're now at an hour. Guntown, if it were to go that far north, that might be a little extreme on the north end there. We're looking at about 70 minutes. But we need to be getting to our tornado safe place near there now, ahead of this. You have moments to maneuver in Calhoun County. We have to be very near our safe place at this moment. The trends on the storm in Yalobusha County have decreased the hail size a little bit. It's going through that cycle. It's going to weaken and then probably pump back up. So even though hail size is coming down, there are some indications. Maybe things are a little bit better. We're going to have to be careful with that in the very near future as well. Let's come down to a new tornado warning we mentioned. It does include Winston and Noxubee counties. This in effect until 5:30 p.m. Doppler radar indicating rotation that could develop into a tornado soon. The angle on this does include, for those weather calls, at least part of the city of Louisville. We need to be into our safe place there, and I know what that means to you. So we need to go to that safe place. I don't want to put comparisons on this. This isn't anywhere near as strong a looking storm as what came through there back in 2014. But if you're not in a sturdy structure, a 60 mile per hour wind could hurt you. And so this, because we have confirmation of a storm just south of it, where it has produced tornado touchdowns, Weather Service feeling more and more confident that this has that ability there as it moves northeast at 40 miles per hour. So let's get you some locations in the track here. And a reminder for all our folks on Facebook Live here, if you want to see more of what we're showing behind us, you can do so at WTVA.com/live for that live stream there. Louisville, if it went that far north, not impossible, but it's aimed just a little bit south of you, we'd be talking about 25 minutes at that 40-ish miles per hour. Webster Community, 37 minutes. Noxapater, more immediately in the line of this at 13 minutes. For your location. I do believe we have a new update just a little farther north on that tornado warning for Montgomery County. Montgomery County, we're looking just south of Winona, and I know in Winona we haven't touched on this for a few minutes. I apologize for that. I know it looks really bad to your south. You're going to be looking through the rain to try to see this tornado. That's why we don't recommend you going out. The only vantage point that we might have something is from the south. So Poplar Creek in the immediate path of this rotation that has produced funnels from time to time and could be a tornado in the development stages here. On a track, and I'm going to pop that on and immediately take it off because these are escalating in how quickly they're moving. Farther north, they're moving 55. Farther south, they're moving 45. This is in the middle where it's moving 45 to 50 as well. So let's get the times right. Poplar Creek, 4 minutes. Huntsville, Mississippi, 10 minutes. 19 minutes in the Wood Springs. Rotation that could develop into a tornado in the near future, and certainly hail that is fairly large on this, at least 1 inch in size on this thunderstorm, though hail sizes have thankfully come down just a little bit. Street level on Storm Track Doppler radar. The exact spot on this rotation, we're looking just south of 407 near the Pine Bluff Road area in Montgomery County, just west of Poplar Creek. This is where rotation has intensified enough that this could begin to take that next step and produce a tornado. It's produced numerous funnel clouds. And looking at the wind mode on Storm Track Doppler radar, we're looking now a little bit higher up in the thunderstorm, and we now have it just north of Pine Bluff Road, south of Poplar Creek Road, pretty much right along Mississippi Highway 407. We need to be in our tornado safe place. If we live in Montgomery County, the southern part, I would still be there and kill Michael, though the main tornado threat is to your south, but these can, as they go through a change in their life cycle, pull in the rotation. And so that's why even in Kill Michael, we need to be in our safe place, and we need to stay there for a few minutes. Now, for folks who do live and watch us on TV in Vaden, you can come out of that tornado safe place. You're in good shape. Updates with the tornado warning, still showing it moving 45 miles per hour toward the north and east. On this thunderstorm, still confirming rotation, not confirming a tornado touchdown on this in our discussion back and forth with the National Weather Service at this moment here, looking for that tornado debris, which is still going to be hard because we're far enough away from it. And when you're this far away from the radar site, it's a hard thing for us to confirm. Let's go back down to Jackson's radar and look at it from there for a moment. So we're looking pretty much, as we mentioned just a moment ago, now right along Mississippi Highway 407 near Poplar Creek. That is where we believe this tornado could be in the process of generating. As we look at the debris mode, as I'm going to go back and forth here, mark it. Okay, no debris on this still. Good sign. This looks to see if everything's the same. And so where it shows white on here, everything's the same. When you start getting these black dots, if those happen to be in the same spot where the rotation is, then we know we have tornado debris because everything's not the same. It's tree branches, it's bricks, it's everything mixed in. So thankfully we cannot confirm the tornado with this. We're still thankfully at that maybe possibly zone, what I need to say on that is just because I'm saying maybes and possiblies, you still need to be in a tornado safe place. The only storm shelter that's foolproof is one you go to every single time that there's a tornado. So we need to be careful because of that. National Weather Service in Jackson, and there's a territory difference here. This is Jackson's weather service with Grenada County. This is Memphis is up north here. The reason that's important, Jackson went with the tornado warning initially. Memphis has chosen to go with severe thunderstorm warning, mentioning tornado possible because they can't confirm it at this moment. It's just a lingo difference. Thunderstorm still has that same potential to produce funnels and still could potentially at some point develop that tornado in the fairly near future. And so that's why even though it's a severe thunderstorm warning at this moment, we still have to be treating this the same as we treated that tornado warning a few minutes ago because it still has that potential to produce funnels and it's still going to be bobbing back and forth in strength. It's unlikely that any of these thunderstorms are going to weaken a whole lot over the course of the next couple of hours. We're actually waiting on more moisture and fuel to arrive, and so thunderstorms are expected to spread in coverage and increase in intensity going forward. That's why at this moment we're dancing back and forth. Is it not producing? And pretty soon it seems very likely, looking at the setup that we go for, it is producing and that we could have the potential for a few strong tornadoes today. Shepherd communities, we mentioned 6 minutes. Bruce, we're now down to 10 minutes. That's not to say that this doesn't take a more southerly track and possibly clip Calhoun City, but it's going to be a little closer on that one there. And Weather Service still mentioned tornado possible on the latest update on the severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Calhoun City, including Calhoun City and Calhoun County. That in effect until 5 p.m. And they've actually just extended now farther east and goes all the way up to the Lee County line on this severe thunderstorm warning. So what they're doing, they're just watching this closely, but the angle of this still is bringing it. So it's going to be in the southern part of Pontotoc County, northern part of Chickasaw County, obviously including Calhoun County in this, a severe thunderstorm warning for those locations in effect until 5:45 p.m. as it moves in a northeasterly direction here. For the folks in the back room, we will toss at the beginning of the newscast. Probably have Emily toss back over here. If we do have some updates from some of those folks, we'll definitely take it. Tree damage in Branch. We're going to need to double check that location. Hey, Katie, can we double check the location on the 4:57 update from the ham radio operator, please, of some tree damage on one of these thunderstorms? It's just a matter of time before we get more of that, by the way. Bruce, we're looking at 8 minutes. Holka, 29 minutes. Okolona, 46 minutes. And Tupelo, we're looking at 56 minutes. This is moving toward us. We do anticipate that it will continue to strengthen, and the time continues to tip down more and more. Let's go all the way to the most southern storm. We're looking at close to the Height community there. Noxapater rotation on this thunderstorm here. That could be the development of a tornado at some point in the near future. This is not a giant tornado. This isn't the healthiest thunderstorm we're looking at. But it only takes a tornado impacting you. It doesn't matter if it's a giant tornado 10 miles down the road. If a small tornado hits you, it's still going to be very unpleasant. It could be damaging. And so we need to take this seriously if we live in Noxapater because of that, with the rotation just approaching from the south and west. Tracking this on the zoomed-in track here where this rotation is, there are a couple of areas here on this same thunderstorm. Noxapater 4 minutes from the backside. It's unlikely that this front one is rotation. That's full-blown tornado, but let's track it nonetheless. The front rotation, we're looking at 1 minute for Noxapater, so we have to be in our tornado-safe place, which is, as we often mention, the lowest floor of a sturdy structure, and stay there until we can give you the all-clear. Tornado warning continues for Noxubee as well as Winston counties in effect until this evening. I'm going to get the time right there at 5:30. The southern storm here still moving in the neighborhood of about that 45 to 50 miles per hour, and I'm going to track it far enough ahead so we have an advanced heads up for folks in Macon and Aliceville. We're looking for Macon at just about an hour, and Aliceville just about an hour and a half for you as it continues to move toward the north and east. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to begin WTVA News at 5, and we're going to continue this coverage in just a moment. Stand by.
He didn't even put location.